सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। We completed the fourth chapter in the last session. We saw the verse Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam Jnana Sanchinna Samshayam Atmantam na Karmane Nibaddhanti Dhananjaya. Jnana Sanchinna Samshayam. One whose samshayas, doubts, are all removed, eliminated by jnana, by knowledge. Then we pointed out knowledge in two stages. It's called paroksha jnanam and aparoksha jnanam. Paroksha jnanam can go intellectual knowledge. An understanding in the intellect about the nature of self, nature of Brahman, nature of reality, about everything. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. And that conviction, intellectual conviction, creates in me, that's called Viveka of the first level, creates in me Vairagya. I realize that happiness is not out there, happiness is to be discovered from my own self. That conviction has happened. Even though the discovery has not happened, but the conviction has happened. That enables me to discover Vairagya, dispassion for the pleasures coming from outside. If I am not interested in the pleasures, there is no need to perform karma or actions to acquire those pleasures. That's how karma sannyasa, the renunciation of all the karma, the duties, the obligated duties that comes, the renunciation of all desire prompted actions come. No more desires, because I cannot justify desire intellectually. And that is how this leads to a life where my actions become the actions as a means of pursuit of knowledge. With this understanding, now I realize that moksha, liberation, which is the goal I am seeking, is already an accomplished fact. It is my nature. And therefore, what is already existing has to be known or understood. And that's how knowledge becomes the goal of my life. Moksha is the goal, but knowledge is the means of that moksha. Then now my life changes. Tametam vedanavachanena brahmanaha vividishanti yajnena danena tapasa anashakena. Then actions become the actions not for gaining gratification. They become actions as an offering, as a contributor, by which I discover vividisha, the desire for knowledge in course of time. When the desire for knowledge becomes strong, then even those selfless actions also have served their purpose. And now I am ready for the next stage of pursuit of knowledge. So this is when the first level of sannyasa or renunciation comes, called vividisha sannyasa. Renunciation of all the duties. First was the renunciation or giving all the desired prompted action, kamya karma. Now even the renunciation of nishkama karma. Because nishkama karma, also called kartavya, duty, the actions performed in the spirit of contribution, they also have served the purpose by creating in me vividisha, the desire for knowledge. Then I am ready now to dedicate myself to the pursuit of knowledge. Tad vijnanartham sa gurumeva vigachet samitpanihi shrotriyam brahmanishtam. The Mundakopanishad says, Tad vijnanartham, now that I have discovered vividisha, the desire for knowledge, saha gurumeva abhigachet, this aspirant should necessarily go to a guru. Samitpanihi, with faggots in the hand, meaning surrendering to the guru. The next stage of life, which is dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge at the feet of the teacher. So this is sannyasa called vividisha sannyasa. The renunciation which I have deliberately embraced for pursuing the knowledge, because pursuing the knowledge requires a leisure of mind, free from all demands on me, which means free from all duties or expectations of me. And that is the purpose of the vividisha sannyasa. All responsibilities are given up, all claims also are given up. I am not responsible to anybody, nor is anybody responsible to me. I have no claim on anybody, nor has anybody claim on me. This is vividisha sannyasa. Thus, with an open mind, the free mind, this aspirant pursues the knowledge. Shravanam, mananam, nididhyasanam. Atma drashtavya, shrotavya, mantavya, nididhyasitavya, Maitreyi. Here, Maitreyi, Atma has to be seen, known as your own self. For that, devote yourself to Shravanam, listening to the teacher, expounding, unfolding the meaning of the statements of scriptures. Meaning, unfolding the nature of the self. See that? They remove the doubts. So when this knowledge takes place, then is nididhyasanam, in course of time, and abides in that knowledge. So now you have become Brahman, which is your true nature, which is freedom, which is moksha, which is liberation. So this liberated person enjoys a state of mind called sannyasa. Sannyasa or renunciation in true sense of the word. Because it's become free from even the final bondage called ego or the sense of doership, kartrutva, bhoktrutva. By recognizing that kartrutva, the doership, also is the result of identification of the body-mind complex, When the final viveka takes place, that I am the very self, the consciousness, unconnected to the body, mind, sense complex, imparting sentiency to them by my very presence, but otherwise unconnected. I'm independent, self-existing, self-shining, self-sufficient. That free person enjoys sannyasa or renunciation in the primary sense, because now he is free from all attachments, all complexes. Vidyate hruday granthi chidyante sarvasamshayaha kshiyante chasya karmani. All complexes are gone, all the doubts are gone, all bondage is gone. This state, if you want to call it a state, the wise person is called sannyasa, it's called vidvat sannyasa. The renunciation by virtue of knowledge, not by virtue of any process. The vividisha sannyasa, the renunciation of duties which was undertaken was by will. The second level of sannyasa, called vidvat sannyasa by virtue of knowledge, takes place. And that sannyasa is the goal of life, which is sannyasa that Lord Krishna is teaching in the Bhagavad Gita. Yoga sannyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna samshayam atmavantam. One has become truly alert, vigilant about one's own nature, one is conscious about, constantly conscious about one's own self, it's atmavantam. Karamani nani badnanti, now actions no more bind him. Because this discussion began with karma. This karma, the duty was in front of Arjuna, and that's why the discussion centers around karma. And therefore the mukti or freedom also is described in terms of karma. Karmani nani badnanti. Karma or actions do not bind him. Nothing binds him. But this karma was the contention for Arjuna, whether to perform karma or not. And Arjuna concluded that karma binds me. If I perform the karma, then the karma phala comes. That karma phala gives me punya papa, of the nature of punya papa, which requires me to take another birth, where I again perform karma. So karma, karma phala, desire, karma, karma phala, desire. This is a sequence that Arjuna is familiar with. And therefore, his conclusion, understanding was that if I perform the karma, I will be bound in this chain of karma, karma phala and then rebirth. Therefore, I do not want to perform karma. Well, Lord Krishna is teaching. It's not karma that binds anybody. It is a kartrutva, a sense of doership that binds. Therefore, you do not need to become free from karma. Even if you become free from karma and retain kartrutva, the doership, you are as bound as before. The important thing is to become free from kartrutva. Karmani akarmayah pashed. Who sees actionless self when actions are being performed? Nani badnanti karmani, the karmas do not bind him. That's a true sannyasa, true freedom, which is what Lord Krishna is teaching throughout Bhagavad Gita. And with that teaching, the 4th chapter concluded. The last verse, however, it is said, Arjuna, you are not there yet. Not everybody can necessarily renounce the duties. The duties have to serve their purpose in your life before you can renounce them. When the vividisha arises, when the desire for knowledge, a strong desire for knowledge arises, when that becomes the only agenda, then you are free to renounce your duties. Until then, you should perform your duties. For what purpose? For the purpose that the desire for knowledge should arise. So karma can be performed in such a manner that they do not produce karma phala or binding results, but they bring about purification of mind, with which you discover vividisha or desire for knowledge. That's what Arjuna has to do. That's called karma yoga. Performing karma or duties in the spirit of yoga is conducive to purification of mind, is conducive to making you free from karma through discovering vividisha, then gaining knowledge. Therefore, chitvainam samshayogam atishto tishta bharata. He Bharata, he Arjuna, uttishta, arise. Yogam atishta. May embrace yoga. May take up the yoga, meaning that take up the karma with the attitude of yoga, which is what you need right now. So whereas sannyasa is presented as the goal of life, Arjuna is asked to perform karma. So this is how the 4th chapter concluded. And thereby we find that the 5th chapter opens with a question or a request on the part of Arjuna. Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punar yogam shamsasi. O Lord Krishna, you spoke about sannyasa as well as karma yoga. Yachre etayorekam tanme bruhi sunischitam. Since sannyasa, which requires renunciation of karma, and karma yoga, which calls for performance of karma, they cannot be simultaneously pursued by the same person at the same time. Otherwise, Arjuna would have taken up both sannyasa and karma yoga, because Lord Krishna talked about those two things. But they are mutually exclusive. One is the exclusion of the other. Meaning that either I can renounce the karma or I can perform the karma. So please, you decide in your own mind what is best for me. Karma sannyasa or karma yoga. So Arjuna is seeking Lord Krishna's counsel in deciding between sannyasa and karma yoga. Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punar yogam ja shamsasi. Shamsasi kathayasi. You spoke about both. So which one should I pursue? So this word sannyasa, Bhashyakara has a rather long discussion in the introduction of the 5th chapter in this verse as to what is the meaning that Arjuna has in mind when he uses the word sannyasa. Yat shreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunischitam. Etayo of these two, which is shreya, which is superior, more commendable. Tanme bruhi sunischitam. Please, Lord, you decide and tell me. So Bhashyakara asks this question, that this question of Arjuna means that Arjuna is looking upon sannyasa and karma yoga as alternatives. Which one should I do? Earlier also there is a question about sannyasa and karma. But in the beginning of the third chapter, Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. Hey Janardana, if in your opinion buddhi, jnanam, knowledge, wisdom is jayasi superior to karma, because there Lord Krishna concluded second chapter with the description of sthita prajna, or a man of abiding wisdom, who, as we just said, is a sannyasi in the true sense of the word, is a man of abiding wisdom, liberated while living, truly a sannyasi. And that sannyasa is by virtue of knowledge, not by virtue of a lifestyle. It is not sannyasa taken by will, it is something that happens. So this wise person was described by Lord Krishna and praised, by which it became very clear to Arjuna that that is the goal of life. The knowledge, the wisdom that this person possesses is what the goal is, means of moksha. So jnanam is definitely is the goal. Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana. Hey Janardana, in your opinion, if buddhi or wisdom or the jnanam is superior to karma, tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi Keshava. Hey Keshava, why do you then impel me into performing this terrible action? So there very clearly Arjuna has not understood. Yet, that karma is a means of sannyasa, means knowledge. What Lord Krishna meant to say in the second chapter was that karma yoga is the means and jnanam or knowledge is the end. Therefore, Lord Krishna started clarifying. Lokesmin dvidhanishta pura prokta mayanagha jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. Sankhya, the sannyasis, those who are abiding in the knowledge. Yogis are those who abide in karma, the two stages of lifestyle, where karma is a means of that sannyasa. So in the third chapter, Lord Krishna unfolded that. So then Arjuna understood that karma is the means of sannyasa or knowledge. Which sannyasa? Vidvat sannyasa. So Arjuna knows that karma and sannyasa are not in the same category, therefore there is no question of choosing one or the other. One is a means, other is the end. So now in the fifth chapter, when Arjuna is again seeking Lord Krishna's counsel, please decide which of the two, karma sannyasa and karma, is superior for me. He certainly does not mean that sannyasa by the word sannyasa here. He knows that sannyasa, vidvat sannyasa, the wisdom, the abidance in knowledge is the goal, is the end. So this sannyasa here cannot be that sannyasa. So what does Arjuna mean by the word sannyasa here in the first question, first verse of the 5th chapter? Bhashyakar explained that this is not the vidvat sannyasa which is and, this is the vividisha sannyasa which is a means. As we said, who is a vividisha sannyasi? One who has deliberately renounced all the duties for pursuit of knowledge at the feet of the teacher. Meaning that this sannyasa also the means of knowledge. So now there are two levels of sannyasa. The vividisha sannyasa which is a means, and vidvat sannyasa which is the end. Our Puja Swami used to say, a sannyasi also has to become a sannyasi. Meaning that a vividisha sannyasi has to become the vidvat sannyasi. The Bhashyakara concludes that the word sannyasa used by Arjuna in this verse, first verse of 5th chapter, which he looks upon as a means of the moksha, is not that vidvat sannyasa, because that is moksha. Vidvat sannyasa means freedom, means liberation, means moksha. So this sannyasa, which is now in comparison to karma yoga is a means of knowledge. So choice between sannyasa and karma yoga has to be between karma yoga and vividisha sannyasa. Karma yoga also is a means. Vividisha sannyasa also is a means. There can be choice between two means. There can be choice between the means and the end. Should I, Swamiji, ride the train or should I go to Delhi? There is no question. Unless you ride the train, you cannot reach the destination. You can ask me, Swami, should I travel by train or should I travel by bus? Then there can be choice. Because both are means for the same end. So when Arjuna is asking for a choice between sannyasa and karma yoga, it must be similar to the train ride versus bus ride versus a rickshaw ride, a cycle ride, whatever. Which are the means for the same destination. Therefore, the sannyasa that Arjuna is talking about is not the vidvat sannyasa, the sannyasa which is destination. It is sannyasa which is a means, which we call vividisha sannyasa. So now with that background, let's begin the discussion on the 5th chapter. Let us read the first verse. Arjuna uvacha sannyasam karmanam Krishna punaryogam cha shamsase yachreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunischitam. Hey Krishna, Arjuna addresses the Lord as Krishna. We have explained this verse in the past. The word Krishna is made up of these two words, Krish and Na, or two elements. Krishir bhuvachaka shabdaha ranasya nirvati vachakaha. Where Krish means bhu, to be, or sat, Rana means nirvati or ananda, Tayorekyam Sadananda. Krishna means Sadananda, Satchidananda. O Lord, O Satchidananda. If that is how we resolve that word, the word Krishna is thought to be derived from the root Krish, Karshane, Akarshane. So one, Bhakta Dukha Karshana, one who pulls away. Krushi means the plowing. One who plows away, pulls away the dukkha, the pain and suffering of his devotees. So in a way Arjuna is suggesting, O Lord Krishna, your Ananda Swarupa, at the same time, it is your nature to pull away the suffering and the sins of your devotees. So please pull away this question, this doubt in my mind. Hey Krishna, Sannyasam karmanam Krishna shamsasi. Hey Krishna, shamsasi, kathayasi. You spoke about the sannyasa, the renunciation of karma. You must admit that Lord Krishna really has not spoken about this sannyasa very clearly. I am afraid to say that Lord Krishna does not talk about renouncing the duties. But the scriptures talk about renunciation of duties. The Upanishads say that this stage has to come when a person has to renounce all the duties also, because then only the person can have the leisure to pursue the knowledge at the feet of the teacher. Lord Krishna in a way indicated that here also. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashne sevaya. In this fourth chapter. Upadekshandi te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Tad vidhi, hey Arjuna, may you know vidhi, know the means by which you can gain the knowledge. Upadekshandi te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Jnaninaha, they learn it. Tattvadarshana, the wise. Shrutri and Brahmanistha, the wise people, will upadekshanti, they will impart teaching to you. When they find in you a worthy student, and you establish your worth by prostration, by surrendering in the true spirit, sevaya, by serving the teacher and winning his confidence, pariprashnena, by revealing your jijnasa or the keen desire for knowledge. Now, this is possible only when one has renounced the karma. This is what the Vedantins will say. Because in those days, going to the teacher, surrendering, serving him, staying with him, learning from him was not possible unless you give up your home, which means give up your duties. So this presupposes Vividisha Sannyasa. So even though Lord Krishna does not seem to have very clearly stated about this Vividisha Sannyasa, it is implied that sannyasa which enables one to reach the teacher and dedicate oneself fully to the pursuit of knowledge, that definitely the means of knowledge and moksha is a closer means, more immediate means to knowledge than karma. But karma yoga also is a means. When karma, the duties, are performed with the spirit of yoga, the spirit of a contributor, spirit of offering to Ishvara, in worship of Ishvara, Swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. a Manava human being attains Siddhi, perfection, Antakarana Shuddhi, purity of mind, the fitness for pursuit of knowledge. Swakarma, why? Worshipping Ishvara through one's karma. That's Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga through Antakarana Shuddhi, through knowledge brings about moksha, and Sannyasa through knowledge brings about moksha. So no doubt Karma Sannyasa, which implies Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasa, Sannyasa is not just for the sake of Sannyasa. Karma Sannyasa implies that a person dedicates the self to Shravanam, Manam, Nididhyasa, which is the direct means of knowledge and moksha. Karma Yoga is an indirect means through sannyasa and knowledge. So both are means all right. But here then Arjuna wants to know, can I renounce the karma and start pursuing knowledge to get liberated? Oh Lord Krishna, you think that I should still perform the karma in the spirit of yoga, then become sannyasi and then gain the knowledge. Yat shreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. So Bhashyakara here explains these two kinds of sannyasa as jnana sahita sannyasa and jnana rahita sannyasa. So this Vividisha sannyasi, the one who has taken the sannyasa for pursuing knowledge, doesn't have knowledge, is jnana rahita sannyasa. Whereas, as a result of that pursuit of knowledge, when he gains the knowledge, then he is a sannyasi. It is a jnana sahita sannyasa, which is a vidvat sannyasa. Therefore, to distinguish between these two kinds of sannyasa, Bhashyakara uses this kind of expressions: jnana kevala sannyasa or jnana rahita sannyasa. So now Arjuna has his choice. Arjuna thinks either he should perform karma in the spirit of yoga, karma yoga, or he can renounce the karma and become a sannyasi and then pursue the knowledge. So then question seems to make sense. Then because both are means, understand. Sannyasam karmanam Krishna. So in Bhagavad Gita, this sannyasa is implied. The Upanishad, it is said very clearly that the aspirants etameva pravrajano lokamicchantah pravrajanti. Those seeking Atmaloka, the knowledge of self, pravrajanaha, they become the wandering monks, meaning that they renounce the karma. Shanto dando paratas titikshuhu samahito bhutva atmaniva atmanam pashyed. One should see, or one sees the self within oneself when one has cultivated this qualification of shama, dama, uparama, shraddha, titiksha, samadhanam. That's called the Antakarana Shuddhi. So one pursues knowledge, as Upanishad says, having cultivated that maturity of mind. Then one should give up those karma and then should pursue the knowledge. So in more than one place, Upanishads talk about the Vividisha sannyasa. Bhagavad Gita does not seem to clearly talk about that, but the Upanishads do talk about kashaya paktih karmani jnanam tu paramagatihi. The karma or actions or the duties or the karma yoga, kashaya paktihi, is for cooking the impurities, for removing impurities. Kashaye karma vipakve tato jnanam pravartate. When by karma one has eliminated the kashaya or impurities, then knowledge takes place. So removal of impurities of the mind is the first stage, and then knowledge is the second stage. So karma yoga is the means of removal of the impurities called raga dveshas from the mind. Then one gains the maturity, the fitness to pursue the knowledge. Thus Upanishads are very clear about this stage called Vividisha Sannyasa. In fact, Bhashyakara clearly says that sannyasa is necessary. It is in those days. Because then only the pursuit of knowledge wholeheartedly becomes possible. That samuchaya jnana karma, the pursuit of knowledge on one hand and then performing duties on the other hand, they are all conflicting things. Therefore, all duties should be renounced. This is what Bhashyakara thinks also. Anyway, coming to our discussion, from all of this, we conclude, and Bhashyakara concludes, that what Arjuna means by the word sannyasa, sannyasam karmanam krishna punar yogam cha shamsasi. You are describing both the karma yoga as well as karma sannyasa. Yache etayorekam tanme bruhi sunischitam. Etayo of these two, yache, what is more commendable? What is superior? Tanme bruhi sunischitam. Oh Lord, please, you decide clearly and then tell me. So, Arjuna is asking specifically for me. What is better for me? Not what is better in general. In general, you can say that the karma sannyasa, which is a direct means of knowledge, is certainly better. It's second step compared to karma yoga, which is indirect means. But for Arjuna, the case maybe depends upon his preparedness. Sannyasa is the right thing to do provided one is prepared. It is the wrong thing to do if one is not prepared. So in a way, Arjuna is asking, Lord Krishna, what do you think? Should I renounce the karma and then pursue the knowledge? Or should I rather pursue the karma with this attitude of yoga? So please decide for me. What is more commendable for me? What is better for me? What is easier for me? Because one should take up that which is easier for oneself. Meaning that it may be possible even for Arjuna, even if for an unprepared person, to renounce karma and pursue knowledge, but it would be very difficult. When the mind is not quite ready, it becomes very difficult to justify that sannyasa. And therefore, Arjuna's question, what is better for me? Vividisha sannyasa or karma yoga? With this much background now, we will be able to understand the reply that Lord Krishna gives. Let's go to the second verse. તારું અવાજ તો સંભળાતો નથી. શ્રી ભગવાન ઉવાચ સંન્યાસઃ કર્મયોગશ્ચ નિશ્રેયસકરાવુભૌ तयोस्तु कर्म संन्यासात् कर्मयोगो विशिष्यते. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sannyasah karmayogascha nishreyasakara ubhau. Sannyasah karmanam parityagah. Nishreyasa, Lord Krishna says, Ubho nishreyasa karau. Nishreyasa means moksha. Nishreyasa karau, the means of moksha. Ubho, both of them. Both of them meaning sannyasa and karma yoga, both of them lead to moksha. Meaning lead to nishreyasa, lead to moksha. Meaning both of them are means to moksha. Which means that one can pursue either of them. So that is a general thing Lord Krishna said. Coming to Arjuna, however, tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyate. We must know who is the one addressed in which verse. Here also the first line is a general statement that both Vividisha Sannyasa and Karma Yoga, both of them lead to knowledge. Meaning both of them are means to knowledge. If so, then what about Arjuna? So then Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, Tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyate. Yach etayorekam tanme bruhi sunistam. Lord Arjuna wants to know, yes, Shreya, that which is superior of the two. So Lord Krishna uses the same kind of words. Tayostu, however, of both karma yoga and karma sannyasa. Karma sannyasat karma yoga vishishyate. Karma yoga is more commendable, superior to karma sannyasa. Now this statement has to be properly understood. That this is a statement meant for Arjuna. The first statement is a general statement that both karma yoga and karma sannyasa lead to knowledge. Karma yoga through antahkarana shuddhi, then karma sannyasa, then pursuit of knowledge, then knowledge. Karma sannyasa directly through pursuit of knowledge and knowledge. So as we said, karma sannyasa is a more immediate means for knowledge. Karma yoga is a remote means to knowledge. Nevertheless, both of them are means to knowledge. Like saying this, you want to travel from Allentown to, let's say, Chicago. Then the flight from Allentown to Chicago is a means of reaching destination Chicago. And a car ride from Salisbury to Allentown also is a means to Chicago. Which one should I do? Should I ride from the Gurukulam to ABE airport or should I travel from airport to Chicago? Depends on where you are. If you are at the airport, then what are the means? You fly out. If you are in the Gurukulam, then you have to first go to the airport and then take the flight. So ride from Gurukulam to airport also is a means of destination, namely Chicago. But how a remote means through enabling you to ride in the flight, to travel in the flight. Whereas a flight from Allentown to Chicago is immediate means to, or closer means, more proximate means to the destination. Both are means. One is more proximate than the other. Which one is superior? The general rule is that traveling from Chicago to, the flight from Chicago to, Allentown to Chicago is the immediate means. But that is for the people who are already at the airport. AB airport. But for a person who is in the Gurukulam, for you, it is better that you first take a ride from Gurukulam to the AB airport and then take the flight to Chicago. Therefore, for you, O Swamiji, if I'm asking this question, for you, taking a ride from the airport, from the Gurukulam to Chicago airport is better. Because I am at the Gurukulam. If you, on the other hand, were at the airport already asking this question, the answer would have been, take the flight. Therefore, both riding from Gurukulam to the airport and flight from the airport to Chicago, both are a means of reaching destination called Chicago. All right, Lord, then I'll take the flight. But you can take the flight only when you are at the airport. Arjuna, you are in the Gurukulam. Tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyate. You cannot renounce your car. You cannot renounce the taxi cab before you reach the airport. If you renounce the taxi cab, even while you are at Gurukulam, you cannot go anywhere. So time comes when you have to give up that taxi cab, no doubt about that. When? When you reach the airport. Therefore, first level of sannyasa is renouncing the taxi cab by reaching the airport when the taxi cab has served the purpose. So karma yoga is like my traveling from Gurukulam to the airport, and Jnana yoga is like flying from AB airport to Chicago. So Arjuna wants to know, where am I? What is superior to me? Not what is superior in general, what is superior for me. Tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyate. Of these two means that are available, here Arjuna, karma yoga vishishyate. Karma yoga is superior, it excels. Karma sannyasat. As compared to renunciation of karma, the performance of karma excels. Like in comparison to renouncing the taxi cab, riding the taxi cab excels. Because for where you are, that is a means for you to reach the ultimate destination. So this statement is made by Lord Krishna. Kasmat. Oh Lord, why do you say that? Why do you say that karma yoga or performance of karma with the attitude of yoga? Not just performance of karma, karma yoga. Performance of karma with the attitude of yoga, Vishishya excels. Karma sannyasat compared to karma sannyasa, renunciation of karma. Because performance of karma is like that ride of the taxi cab which takes you from the Gurukulam to the airport. Then only you can renounce the taxi cab, not before that. So Lord Krishna is explaining the role of karma yoga and the sannyasa. So role of karma yoga is explained now as to why, Arjuna, for you it is preferable, it excels, it is superior to karma sannyasa. So read the third verse. Jneyasta nitya sannyasi yo nadveshtina kankshati nirdvandvo hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. I would think that Arjuna has perhaps some attraction for sannyasa. So Lord Krishna says, hey, he is a sannyasi. So here Lord Krishna extols the karma yogi also as a sannyasi. So now this is another earlier level of sannyasa. We have discussed two levels of sannyasa. The sannyasa in the primary sense is vidvat sannyasa, the destination, the abidance in knowledge. The earlier level of sannyasa is called vividisha sannyasa, the renunciation of actions taken by will to pursue the knowledge to become a vidvat sannyasi. And now Lord Krishna talks of even an earlier level of sannyasa. Gneyasya nitya sannyasi. In this third verse, Lord Krishna says, Saha nitya sannyasi gneyaha. This aspirant to be known or understood as nitya sannyasi, always a sannyasi. So why should Lord Krishna use the adjective nitya or always a sannyasi? Because he is a sannyasi even when he does not appear to be a sannyasi. Traditionally, a sannyasi is the one who has renounced all his duties, who no more performs the duties. Here is the person called is a karma yogi who is performing his duty. Therefore, in the traditional sense, he is not a sannyasi. See, Lord Krishna calls him a sannyasi. Yes, nitya sannyasi. Hey Arjuna, karma yogi also should be called a sannyasi. In karma yoga also there is a seed of sannyasa. Karma yoga also is sort of a training for sannyasa. But here Arjuna understand that karma yoga will become a sannyasi. Because sannyasi alone can become a sannyasi. So what is karma yoga? Karma yoga is performing karma, the duties, in the spirit of sannyasa. So karma yogi also is in a way practicing sannyasa in terms of his attitude. So before sannyasa is a lifestyle where there is a physical renunciation of karma. The person maintains the attitude of sannyasa in his mind. Therefore, Lord Krishna says, Gneyasya nitya sannyasi. A karma yogi also should be called a sannyasi nitya. Why nitya? Because karma yogi is performing karma. Which means that in lifestyle, in form, he is not a sannyasi. He should still be called a sannyasi because in spirit he is a sannyasi. So karma becomes yoga when it is performed in the spirit of sannyasa or renunciation. Or karma is performed with renunciation or destination. You can reach the destination of sannyasa provided you have the attitude of a sannyasi. What Swami used to say, absolute love can be discovered only with a relative love. You cannot discover love with a hateful mind. You cannot discover peace with a disturbed mind or agitated mind. Meaning that you should acquire relative happiness to discover absolute happiness. Relative love to discover absolute love. Relative peace to discover absolute peace. Relative sannyasa to discover absolute sannyasa. Absolute sannyasa is vidvat sannyasa, the goal. Vividisha sannyasa is a relative sannyasa. And karma yoga is even further, one step below the vividisha sannyasa, but karma yogi also entertains the spirit of sannyasa. In what manner? Gneyasya nitya sannyasi yo na dveshti na kankshati. While performing karma, yo na dveshti, even who does not entertain dvesha or hatred, Na kankshati does not enter in akanksha or attachment. So when one adopts this attitude deliberately of nadveshti nakangshati, he does not allow his mind to entertain dvesha, nor does he allow his mind to entertain akanksha or asakti or attachment. When we are about to perform any karma, the utilitarian mind comes up with this command or requirement or demand rather. What is in it for me? The self-centered mind always comes up with this question. What is in it for me? Meaning that through performance of any karma, any activity, that mind of the ego is always seeking gratification. Self-gratification. Coming through sense pleasure, coming through ego gratification, some gratification. Because of the inner sense of lack or want or dissatisfaction, a human being is constantly seeking gratification, but you don't feel gratified within yourself. And therefore, one is seeking gratification from outside, assuming that wealth, name, fame, power, comfort, objects, company, friends, family, all of this will give me happiness. So as long as one sees the other objects and things and being a source of happiness, that's what one is seeking to accomplish. And therefore, usually a karma or an action is performed with the means of accomplishing or acquiring those objects or things or beings which are looked upon as the means of happiness. What I want is happiness. But it is my conclusion that happiness is in this thing, in this being, in this object, in this situation, in this time, in this place. So that's what I acquire, hoping that that's what will give me happiness. So usually the mind is utilitarian. And therefore, while performing action also, I'll perform that action which in my opinion will bring me the desired end, and I will avoid that action which will not bring the desired end. Or while performing action, I will have a tendency to perform action in such a manner that my desired end is achieved, in which case I may bend also some values and attitudes, because that end becomes more important than means. So for a person seeking gratification through karma, which everybody does, the end or gratification is more important than karma, the means, and that more often than not, the karma means quality of karma, the values while performing karma, the right attitudes are compromised because of the pressure that one has of acquiring a given end. End is more important than means. So there is an attachment for the end, raga. And there was dvesha, aversion of anything that obstructs the achievement of that end. If following a value such as honesty, truthfulness is an obstacle to achieving, then I dislike that. The attitude of being contributor, etc. is an obstruction, I'll dislike that. Thus, when normally a person performs karma, it is the attachment and aversion attachment for that which will bring about the desired end, and aversion for that which I perceive as an obstacle to achieving that end. And therefore it is ragadvesha that usually govern the action. Unfortunately, when ragadveshas are the propelling force for action, they only result into pouring the butter into fire, meaning that ragadveshas only grow in intensity. By fulfilling ragadvesha, I cannot get rid of ragadvesha. I am only intensifying ragadveshas. So who is a karma yogi? Karma yogi has a value for becoming free from ragadvesha, not value of achieving a given end. Why is it so? Because karma yogi has this viveka. He has discerned that happiness is to be discovered from within myself, not from objects or things or beings or place or time. And it is ragadvesha that are the obstacles to my enjoying the happiness which is my nature. And therefore I am doing myself a favor by not submitting myself to pressure of ragadvesha, asserting myself, not allowing ragadveshas to control me. I rather would have my values, I assert my values, I assert my attitudes, and not allow ragadveshas to control me. Yona dveshtana kankshati. A karma yogi is an intelligent person. That's the intelligent way of living life, which leads to happiness, which leads to freedom. Gniyasya nitya sannyasi. Here Arjuna, this person will be called, known as a sannyasi even while he is performing karma. Even though he is not a sannyasi in a traditional sense, conventional sense, in the form of a sannyasi. But he is the spirit of renunciation, of giving up, letting go. Letting go of karma can happen provided you have developed the maturity to give up the karma. Understand that by simply giving up karma, karma do not leave us. You can give one kind of karma, other karma will catch hold of me because the mind is restless, it has a need to do something. That's what Lord Krishna says to Arjuna in the 18th chapter. Yada hankaram ashritya nayosyati manyase mithyaisha vyavasayaste prakrutisvam niyokshari. Here Arjuna, as long as you have not changed your nature, as long as ragadveshas are controlling you, so long, if out of ahankara or pride, you think that I will not fight this battle, I will not perform my duty, those ragadveshas will control you and compel you to perform action. There is some other action. So you cannot become free from action because you are not performing action. Your ragadveshas are compelling to perform action. Therefore, first become free from ragadvesha. That's the purpose of karma yoga. Gniyasya nitya sannyasi yona dveshtana kankshati. Therefore, Arjuna, he should be known as sannyasi. So Lord Krishna here is extolling karma yogi also as a sannyasi, to encourage Arjuna that he is sannyasi in making. Karma yogi is sannyasi in making. It is like a training ground for sannyasa, which will culminate into sannyasa or renunciation of action. Meaning that because a karma yogi progressively becomes free from the need of karma. And when that happens, then you have freedom not to perform karma. Then you can become a karma sannyasi. Therefore, even a karma yogi also is extolled as a sannyasi. So now Bhagavad Gita talks of 3 levels of sannyasa. The primary level of sannyasa, vidvat sannyasa. A means to vidvat sannyasa is vividisha sannyasa, Sannyasa taken for pursuit of knowledge. A means to vijaya sannyasa is sannyasa in the form of karma yoga, where there is renunciation of raga and dvesha. So 3 levels of sannyasa are talked about in the Bhagavad Gita. We will continue in the next class. Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Vadarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo